Give it a shot at making a tape mostly about safety and some of the parts of the gun that you need to get familiar with. And I may have to do this again because point a camera at me and I seem to go blank sometimes. So let me just show you some parts of the gun so that you're familiar with that, and then you can work on getting more familiar later. Okay. This right here is just a dust cover, and it's got this little catch here, and so that's how the gun will be for you most of the time. Okay, and so there's your dust cover, and like how to release it. It's going to automatically release when you pull this cocking or cycling device back, and you pull it back, and here this is what turns it loose. See the little catch on it, and that's what sets her back. And so as you pull the bolt back, automatically it's going to open up the dust cover. There's your bolt, by the way. And this is what gets the most dirt in it and will stop the gun from functioning and so forth, you know, as far as cycling and pulling the bullet out and that kind of stuff. So when I tell you to clean the bolt, that's what we're talking about. Okay, now if you see it go about like here, see the gap? Am I too close?
You move your thumb.
Okay, and it stops right about there. I can kind of duplicate that by holding it off. Okay, but it didn't go home. You should be familiar with what it looks like. See that little bitty gap in your shell casing? You can barely see that here. But if it's just a little bit off, say like so or something, didn't go in all the way. This is your assist lever right here. You can bump that several times until this goes home. If it doesn't ever go home, assume a safe position, which is mostly thought of as straight up, and then cycle it again. Cycle it again, okay? Now, one of the ways to tell quickly when you go pick up this gun, has anybody fooled with it? Has anybody played with it? And is the gun safe, or is the gun carrying a loaded round in it, or for any reason already cocked? If it's already cocked, you very well may have a loaded round in the chamber. One of the quickest ways to tell, here's your select fire. This is in the fire position right now, and that's in the safe position. When I can switch from safe to fire, a gun's cocked. Could have one in the barrel. So you don't want to stick it at, you know, you don't have the luxury, not being in the country, of sticking it out the, you know, back porch or whatever and putting it on fire and pulling one off. You ain't gonna be able to do that. So now she's been snapped, fired, whatever. So you reach over here, and can you get that gun in the safe? If you can, it's cocked. If you can't, it's not a final say, because other things can go wrong, break, whatever, and it'll do it anyway. But when she's like this, she's not cocked. So here's my finger on this release, and put it back. I would do that in a manner of something like this. Both fingers on it. See, the latch comes out. Pull it back. Turn it loose. Snap. She goes in. Now I want to show you another item. This is your rear bolt lock. So if I pull this back and push this button and then turn this cocking device back, see, it's just loose. Why is that? Because over here she's locked back. Okay, Now there's all kind of ways to load one of these things. When you put a magazine in, and you've got a magazine, are you down too far? No?
I'm looking at the gun.
Okay, you empty magazine. I prefer steel, but obviously I'm not the last word on that, because Lindy, who is a professional combat soldier, uses and likes plastic. I don't get that, but whole lots of people get it. So apparently they're worth noting, and they're a little cheaper than the steel magazine. So here's what an empty will look like. Let me do that over again for you. When you put a slide in and she's full of ammo, bumped up here a little bit, it's not going to easily, as I'm showing off here, going to go in and go home for you. So you put it in kind of like that, roll it, and if I just do that, it snapped right into place. And you can tell that by this lever down below. Now watch it go in. It ain't much, but watch it go in as the magazine goes home. See that? Click. All right. So when you fire the last shot, that magazine, these things wear out too, and the lips on the magazine wear out, and it won't hold that bolt back anymore. So your last shot will look more like this, and I'm going to close this up by doing this. There she went, locked up into place, and she's all set. Except I didn't have a round in it. What I want to warn you about, there's a lot of ways to reload. And let's say, well, you fired up your magazine, you only got 1 or 2 rounds left, and well, I'll just throw one in. You pull this back like so. It locked back because it's an empty magazine. And while I've warned you about this before, I'm going to throw it in again. How many different ways can you load this magazine? One, you can have a magazine full of bullets, and that of course works. Or you can take and throw a round in there like I just did. Can you see? And you'll see how you tell the gun's loaded. You pull that bolt back, lock it back, and if you see, maybe the magazine's empty, but it had 1 more bullet to throw in there. Now, if you got small fingers, you can take your little finger, stick in there, and if you can't get it up into that barrel, there's something that's holding that off, a bullet. So don't do this and then punch the button for this bolt to slam home. The firing pin is in the center of this bolt, and it's on a spring. So anything that's on a spring, if you apply inertia to it, here's the firing pin, spring behind it, and I punch the button and she goes boom, like that. In a perfect world, that'll never go forward and hit that bullet. But if I sit here and punch that return, say a half a dozen times, 1 out of the half a dozen, that son of a bitch is going to fire. And you probably won't be set up in the right location for that to happen. You stop.